Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are just under a week away from Croatia kicking off the World Cup, but we are now just, 2 days? Yeah, just over 2 days until Mexico kicks off the 2026 World Cup. So, welcome to the preview, Richard.
Hello. Yeah.
Croatia beat Slovenia. Last time we spoke, we lost to Belgium. On Sunday, we barely beat Slovenia. It wasn't that fun a watch, but Livakovic has proven that he's still fit and very good in goal, despite only playing half a season this whole season. But still at the top level. Other players, did you watch the game?
I've seen extended highlights of it. Not that there were that many of them, really.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, it wasn't a great performance. I think it's fair to say, but at the same time, you're also sort of looking. It was quite it was an experimental central defence,
Yeah,
and obviously, for Baturin pressing his claim, I think he's done himself more harm than good in that particular game. But other than that, I mean, it's a win. People go away happy. No one was especially impressive. No one comes away from it especially impressed. But
yeah.
um, yeah, as I'm sure you know, before 2018, the two friendlies pre-tournament were a 2-0 loss and a
Yeah.
2-1 win. So
Listen,
it
same thing.
runs.
And before Qatar, we barely beat Saudi Arabia, if I
Mhm.
remember correctly. It was a dreadful game. And did we have another friendly before Qatar? We probably did, but it's probably
It
that
wasn't 2-0 and
useless.
2-1, so
Yeah, it
it didn't
wasn't.
fit the narrative.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the narrative. Let me check really quick. No, we only played Saudi Arabia before the World Cup. In November, our only friendly. Well, but yeah, yeah, that was a special World Cup in many ways. It was held in the winter, no summer, but this time we're back in the summer, and the heat is going to be problematic.
Mhm.
But that match, let's go to the Slovenia match. Marko Pašalić started on the right. Dalic was impressed with him. He said after in a press conference that he has what we lack, and that's speed and just decisiveness and crosses. Can put it in. Budimir had a few good chances from Pašalić's crosses, didn't put them away, but Pašalić was very proactive on that right side, and it showed that a 4-2-3-1, or at least Pašalić as a right wing back, if we play free at the back, is definitely the way to go if we want to be attacking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the right wing back is, in general, just an issue because obviously,
Yeah,
as we saw against Belgium, Stanisic doesn't really have it to do both the attacking and the defensive job in one. Does Pasalic have it in him to do the defensive side of that work? I'm not so sure either. But so as we mentioned last week about the squad pick, this is sort of why you'd have Juranovic in the squad if he had been,
yeah,
fitting in any sort of form. But like you say, he offers something that you don't have, which is just putting crosses in. Now, see, your problem there is who starts up front against England. Is it Budimir, who, again, we know he's very good at having crosses put into him
yeah,
in La Liga, but he doesn't score them for Croatia. Or do you play Musa, who, again, he's not got a stellar scoring record for Croatia, but you're playing it in the game in his home stadium. So, if there's any sort of weirdness about the stadium, he will know that, playing under a roof as well. And also,
yeah,
he is in very good club form and does the same job as Budimir.
yeah, and he's much faster.
Yeah.
It's and we also have Matanovic. Obviously, had an okay spell. I think he was better than Budimir in some aspects, but I didn't really. Nobody really showed off. I was really hoping that at least one striker would score a goal in these two friendlies and beat the one that starts. That at least we know who's going to start. But all three got a fair share, like an equal amount of minutes, and nobody really. Budimir came the closest. He hit the bar against Belgium. Had I think one good chance against Slovenia where he put it just wide, but that's pretty much it.
yeah, I mean, everything's sort of says coming from not the attack, which is kind of what we expected, really.
Yeah,
It's sort of unfortunately just the bad side of this current crop of Croatian national team, but there was slackness. You can get those mistakes out of you. Obviously, before the tournament, they're flying over at the minute. They're somewhere in the air over the Atlantic right now,
yeah,
and from then it will be a much more intense atmosphere. I'm sure they'll sort of have land, and there'll be a day off tomorrow, probably doing the media stuff,
yeah,
media day in terms of taking all the motion captures for the semi-automatic offside and things like that. But it's that sort of distraction and recuperation that's going to reset the mind before you get into the real heavy tactical work ahead of the England game. I don't, it feels like we're sort of coming to a conclusion that England's going to be three at the back and Panama and Ghana's going to be four at the back, and we'll swap between a defensive formation and an attacking formation. I don't necessarily know how wise that is, because neither have looked particularly good in these pre-tournament friendlies.
yeah,
But if you've got the analysis there working, and so we'll get onto the group in general, then it might just be it's just sort of needing that couple of tactical sessions to say, actually, we want you to do this particular move against England, this particular move against Panama, and
yeah.
that sort of gives you the psychological advantage.
Yeah, it's for the problem for me is it's not that different. Like structurally, principle wise, everybody has a similar role, which is I think most important in both formations. Nobody is gonna only Pasalic is gonna be more defensive. Everybody else will somewhat do the same thing they're doing no matter what. Stanisic, if he starts as the right center back, he's gonna be um, more back. He's going to be more defensive. He's not going to go bomb forward as he would if he was right wing back. But even as a fullback in this game, he didn't bomb forward that much. Obviously, as we had Pasalic, and he was the one giving the whiff. So it's pretty much just and Guardiol, even if he plays as a wing back, he still bombs forward. He was even as a left center back. He does love going into that channel in between the defender and the right back to help Perisic to maybe get a 1-2 or get the ball to Budimir or whoever is in front. Modric has more of a free role. Kovacic has been playing as that, let's say, playmaker who starts it all off, who goes down to the defense and gets the ball. Uh, Made a lot of mistakes against Slovenia, so I hope Petar Sucic is going to start because Modric does not have the legs to run, especially for a long period of time. And if he does, he's going to need to be subbed off either immediately at halftime or 10 minutes after halftime. And Kovacic is good on the ball, but without it, it doesn't have the pace. So I hope Sucic, who showed at least against Belgium, despite playing more as an attacking midfielder in that game, showed that he does track back and does have the pace to cover for Luka and in that game Kovacic.
Yeah, I think Kovacic is a big concern. Obviously, we know he's had fitness issues throughout the season, and he's the one who's sort of looked most like he's really needed a couple more games before coming
Yeah,
into this tournament. I think similarly to yourself, I would probably be of the mindset if I were Dalic to be like, okay, actually, yeah, probably you're a bench option for this first game. Get a few more minutes, and then you're ready for the more attacking games against Panama and Ghana. Whereas Berasucic is a much more defensively minded player. You can rely on him a little bit more to do the job on the England
yeah.
midfield that you need doing, and then put another in front of him.
Yeah, and also I think Kovacic would be perfect to replace Modric, obviously, for the last 30, 40 minutes, however much Dalic wants to play Modric, especially in that first game. Uh, I mean, it's very similar. Obviously, Kovacic has a bit more, a bit different skill set than Modric, but it's similar enough to where they can play the same position. Only problem is Kovacic has played on the left side of the national team for a long time now. So
Yeah, it's not a big difference really, sort of playing that left
no,
and right role. It shouldn't take much of an
Of
adjustment.
learning. Yeah,
Yeah, the only sort of thing you get, sort of particularly if you are playing with Pasalic out on the right, actually is probably going to be driving into the space that Pasalic would stand in and start his runs from. So you might actually sort of see
yeah,
a positive element there in terms of creating space for Pasalic to start his movement.
yeah. But I mean, Baturna, you said Baturna did more harm against Slovenia. I otherwise than the mistake, I think he did okay enough. I think he was probably our not probably was our most creative player in attack.
But it was a pretty big mistake.
It was a pretty big mistake, but at the same time, it's just, it happens. Kovacic also made the same, literally the same mistake earlier in the game, but oh well, it happens. But I hope Dalic doesn't, because of that mistake, now bench him because going forward he was our most creative player. He was creating chances left, right, and center, or half chances to be more exact, because those were not chances.
Yeah, I think that's the the role that's probably the most undecided of any in the squad, which is who is that, if you say that 4-2-3-1, who's that middle of the three? Is
Yeah,
it Baturna? Is it Luka Sucic? Is it, you have there's multiple options you can put in there as to what job you want to do. I think also sort of different enough players whereby you can actually say, okay, for this task we want to use Badurna, for this task we want to use someone else. It's a hard one, I think, because Badurna has never really made the claim that I think people thought he would have by now to be, yeah, that's undisputed, that's your position.
yeah,
You will be one of the first names on the team sheet. He's not done that, through a combination of the time he's had at club level and just from a combination of people being ageless, to fit into the national team as he should have. I think he's certainly a very good option to have as a start for Panama, definitely.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's probably a discussion for a little bit later.
Yeah, no, I also think Mario Pasalic definitely did a lot of favor to himself with scoring that absolutely terrific goal in the last moment to win the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dalic goes with Mario Pasalic and Kramaric behind whoever the striker is, because at this point it could be really anybody.
Yeah, and I think also, if you are playing that crossing game, having Kramaric there in behind is handy to have someone who's going to be there and knows where to go to pick up the deflections and the second
Yeah,
balls.
yeah, and he knows how to finish. We've seen
Yeah.
that at the last Euros against Albania, but oh well, that game was less favorable to talk about. But against Canada, he did a phenomenal job. So I hope we can see a similar Kramaric against not Canada, but Panama or even Ghana. But in these two friendlies, he hasn't been at the best level. But that's Kramaric. He's either absolutely dog shit or scoring goals. It's
Yeah.
there's really no in between because he doesn't pass or rarely does. So there's no in between. He either scores or he doesn't.
Yeah. And I think sort of just from an attacking, I sort of should have mentioned this maybe 5 minutes ago, but yeah, I think the other danger that Croatia has is that backline being very flat. So we mentioned it around
Yeah,
Stanisic, and sort of where the support on the wings comes from. Yeah, Vardyl is going to bomb forward when he can. Obviously, we know Beresic will be in front of him, and that's fine. But otherwise, sort of where's the movement coming from? What you see a lot in football is, your bottom midfielder coming back in and sort of making it a three, so
yeah,
both sides can go forward, and you sort of creating a semicircle around to pass around and to create angles for deep crossing and so on and so forth.
yeah,
Croatia don't really have that because it's not Stanisic's game. I don't think again, so that's sort of feeds back into my concern just in the fullback areas, just
yeah,
where actually is that movement coming from an attacking sense? Is it going to be a case that you've got those wide areas looking quite unsupported because say Guardiola does bomb forward,
Yeah.
he doesn't bomb forward down the touchline that often. He
No,
does
no, no,
like to
no.
cut in and invert,
Yeah.
which is fine. But again, sort of where's that space? Are we talking about really if you're opposing them, all you have to do is pack the centre?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And then all we have to do is cross the ball. And if Pasalic isn't playing, we only have Perisic who can cross, and then you can literally predict that we're gonna go down the left
Yeah.
because you're probably gonna force us down the left. Well, I would I would hope so. You would, because that's our only way to go forward, unless we can somehow make a like five one-touch passes back to back, and get in front of the box through the center. But yeah, it's the only problem I have with this squad, as we've said multiple times now, is wide players. We don't have anybody to give us the width, to give us the option of on both sides. We only have Perisic and Pasalic. Fruk obviously can play. Sucic can play on the right, but that's all just
Yeah.
makeshift.
And I think it's something that possibly goes into what's going to be probably one of the major tactical things this World Cup, which is the prevalence of 4-4-2 as a way of getting around possession. I
Yeah,
think we've seen a lot of sides at club and international level this season sort of decide actually that the conversion of possession football and the proliferation of that throughout the game has been copied too much, and that actually looking for alternative ways around it, which is that wing play we saw very successfully with Bosnia, but they're hardly the only team doing it, and maybe that's sort of where Croatia possibly needed to lean to offer a second striker to
yeah,
sort of have a deeper winger option, so you have that little bit more support for Stanisic in particular, so it's not as big an issue if he doesn't bomb forward. Yeah, they're not going to do that this tournament,
no.
but that might be next person's job.
The next person's job.
Yeah.
We'll see who that is, but for now, I we'll see how if Dalic stays. I have a feeling if when Modric leaves, Dalic leaves. It's kind of just makes sense. I think for the new generation to be handled by a new manager or an older manager like Bilic to come back in if possible, because his name has been in the hat. Or maybe Olic gets the promotion from the under 21s, but that's a question after the World Cup and depends on how we do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Olic is the obvious successor, and I think him being brought back into the fold for this World Cup
Yeah,
obviously suggests, yeah, Dalic would be kind of handpicking his successor in that sense. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I do wholly agree with you. I think we said it last week. I don't get the feeling, whatever happens this World Cup, if the outcome of it is a major change of generations, a major rebuild, Dalic doesn't want to do that.
yeah. I probably not, especially without Modric, without uh, uh, Perisic will also leave, so all of those guys from 2018 have left. So you only have Kovacic, who was a sub player, who was a substitution at that World Cup, and that's it. What you have of like the older guys. So I think it would be perfect for a change of scenery. I think because
Yeah.
some, as a famous person once said, leave the football before it leaves you. Leave the national team before you're forced out. It's better to leave on a good note. We even if we make it to the round of 16 and we get knocked out by probably Spain if we finish second, or even Brazil if we finish first, that's fine. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But some fans would argue otherwise in this country because some expect again a medal, which for us is you know we this is not normal what we've done.
No, I mean, obviously, we'll get onto expectations, but I agree with you there. Really, like you say, the obvious limit for this side really is that last 16 and quarter final.
Yeah,
You do not want to be in Spain's path in this tournament.
no,
I, I can't look past them as the outright favourites for this tournament.
yeah,
if you end up in the path with Brazil, that's not so bad. Brazil are not up to
Yeah,
all that
they're
much,
they're not. Yeah,
but even still, the how FIFA have decided to set up this tournament in terms of the four top seeds, as it were, sort of that tennis seeding for the knockout stage direction.
yeah,
It means you can't get to a final, and really arguably you can't even get to the semi-final without beating one of the top three sides in this tournament.
yeah,
I, I think there's a top three in Spain, Argentina, France. Then there's about 10 others who are of pretty similar standard, one of which is
yeah,
Croatia, one of which is England.
yeah. We also have Portugal, who beat Spain in the Nations League final last year. Also have a great squad. Germany also. I kind of back them. Hopefully, they do something this tournament because I like the squad, especially attacking wise. Musiala, Words, and Voltemade. Big fan of Voltemade. So I have some hopes for them. Obviously, hope we don't cross paths, but even if we do, we have good history against them. So let's meet in the quarters. Uh, but yeah, it's really difficult because the only way you can get an easy path is if Spain, Brazil, all those countries just underperform in the group stage, and that's with the way the groups are, it's very tough to see that happening.
Yeah, I also like you say, there's only really, I think, off the top of my head, three groups where you could say, so there's two really good sides in. Now, Group L
Yeah,
is one of them, in having England and Croatia as two of the second ranked favourites. Um, Group C is one of them, in
yeah,
terms of having Brazil and Morocco. No team I'm not mentioning in there. And is it Group H with the Dutch and Japan?
yeah. Sweden and Tunisia.
Yeah, I mean that's a horrible group for any of those sides to have landed in. I think particularly also if you top two in that, you end up with the top two of Group C. So
Yeah,
for the Dutch or Japan or Brazil or Morocco to actually go on and win this, they've got a very difficult round of 32, a very difficult round of 16 going on. That's the path you don't really want to be on, which I think is a pity because I think Japan, had they had a clearer path, would have been a good outside bet to reach a
yeah.
final.
Up to reach the final.
Yeah,
They are very good. I do think they could shock a big nation in the round of 16, whoever they may meet, or even quarters if they make it there. But it's the World Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if we see. I won't say Scotland.
I don't.
You're missing Billy Gilmore. That's too much. If he was there, maybe I would have the balls to say, but without Billy Gilmore, it's like half your midfield just is just non-existent.
I think without an entire strike line, to be fair,
Well,
but that's just more our player pool than anything.
listen, just put Scott McKenna up front.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's difficult. Let's get back to Croatia though. The lineup most likely is going to be free at the back. I have a feeling Dalic has decided on that for quite some time now to play against England. Obviously, Vuskovic, middle center back. Then we have obviously the question. We know who the left center back is, Guardiol, but the question is about the right center back. Do we go with Stanisic on wing back or center back, or do we stick with Šutalo?
I think you've got to go with Stanisic, which seems weird because I think Shutlo has his place was so secure for so long,
Yeah,
but obviously he did not play well against Belgium.
no,
And really, sort of in terms of his club form, hasn't been to the level needed for a while. And yeah, I think sort of only that he's been part of the starting lineup for so long that he's been able to secure his spot that way is really all that sort of kept him apart from Elic and Bogdacic.
yeah,
I could. I think we're probably at the point where if you swap to the lad for Elic and Bogdacic, you don't actually see that much of a difference in standard. But in a three at the back, I think we know that Stanisic can't do the attacking side of that wing back role,
yeah,
or at least can't do it and also do the defensive side of it well. So I think then you have to put him at right centre back. But Dalic has done that, and is he really going to want to experiment? I
Yeah,
think we know the answer. He doesn't normally do that. But you're right. I think having Stanisic and Pasalic as your right two of the back five, as it were, probably looks better balanced than having Sutlo and Stanisic.
Stanisic, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree because I put up a poll on Instagram and Twitter. 99% of people are like, Pasalic has to start, which obviously, we looked much better offensively. Defensively, it's going to be a different whole ball game because Slovenia is one thing, England is another, especially with the pace they have on the wings. And you're going to be having to face Marcus Rashford, who has had a good season at Barcelona. Uh, well, a really good winger, and it's not Doku. Doku was kind of a preparation test for that, but we did not pass it. So Rashford, I think, is a level under Doku, but it's still a level I think Stanisic could struggle with, and he definitely is gonna need help. And let's say if Stanisic does play as the right wing back, we get caught out, Shutalo has to, and Modric has to help essentially. Whoever is on the left wing, Modric has to help, and at least in the first half, to defend. So it's I would rather have Stanisic and Pasalic bombing back when we lose the ball.
Yeah, and I think also to that so you use Doku as quite a good comparison there. Doku's natural game is to drive at you
Yeah,
and probably also to drive on the outside. I've seen him in person a couple of times, and his movement and just the speed of his feet really
yeah, no,
isn't something you see very often. Whereas Rashford's natural game is going to be he wants to get inside.
inside,
So if
yeah,
he gets inside Paslic, then he's got Stanisic there, and that's a problem.
yeah, much better.
You want to be taking the worst defender out of the game if it's fair to say that when he takes the right wing back out rather than taking the best one.
Yeah,
I think also I think England are a very difficult side to have a gauge on for this tournament. They haven't really played a properly competitive game
no, ever
for a
since
long
the
time.
Euros, I think.
I'd agree with that entirely. I think you can sort of compare the pass-through qualification in terms of both sides having, both Croatia and England having their big result being a big win at the away to the biggest other side in the group. The difference is that Croatia did it to a competent Czech side,
Yeah,
and England did it to Serbia, run by Pixie. And there is a difference between that, but I think and I know there are England fans who will say, oh, we did this, we're going to win the World Cup, we're going to, again, I haven't seen the proof of that.
yeah. There is no. I mean, how can you see proof when they haven't faced a top 20 nation
Yeah,
once?
you can't, and I mean even if you take the friendlies, I mean yes, you take the friendlies with a big pinch of salt because you often spend the last 45 minutes of them just trying not to get injured.
Yeah,
Haiti beat New Zealand 4-0. England beat them 1-0. There is a gulf of how impressed you should be in those two results. And I understand it's like the English media reaction is, oh yeah, we weren't impressive, but we got the job done.
yeah,
And there's only so long that can possibly hold until you don't get the job done. And yeah, Harry Kane's a bit of a cheat code,
a bit.
but
He's like he's now learned how it is to score goals. Like he did good at Tottenham, but now he's like, oh, I can do this every match.
yeah, but he doesn't have. He does have on paper the creative
Yeah,
talent around him, but it's certainly, as far as we've seen, not been utilised. I think if we sort of look at that England Croatia game, I think it'll be an absolutely horrible game of football to watch.
yeah, no, it will.
And
It's same as Morocco in 2022.
Yeah, it will be the worst game I will watch all 90 minutes of this tournament, I am sure. Um, and annoyingly, it's going to decide the group,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
we're
it
honest.
is.
And it decides what path each side gets for as a route to the quarterfinals, knowing that winning the group will provide you probably with a substantially easier route than
Yeah.
coming second. It's yeah, I I, I don't know. I think with England, and so I say don't consider them one of the main favourites of this tournament. But if they wanted to advance their way up that ladder in people's reckoning, easily beating Croatia would be the way to do it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that, especially by looking who Tuchel picked, it's not he hasn't gone for the stars. He's not like, oh yeah, just best players there. I have a feeling he's been over the time he's been in charge, just getting a squad, like a club, like Dalic has like a family, which I hate to say, hate that hashtag, but oh well, it works. But he's been trying probably to gauge more at that to get the same exact players time after time, and so they can learn their playing style, so he doesn't swap in, like, I don't know, Trent all of a sudden just because he's had an okay season, not even an okay season, but in an imaginary world where he did okay for Real Madrid, you know. But so I'm quite hopeful for England, and sadly to say, like I'm more I'm not scared, but more scared. I don't know how to put it. I don't know what to expect from them because against Southgate, you know what to expect. But with this Tuchel side, I don't know what to expect, and that could be a bad thing. That could be a good thing. We won't know until the group stage.
I mean, if it's any solace as a Scottish person living in England, I'm not scared for them this tournament. Scared by them this tournament. I'm not scared about the prospect of them winning. I don't see it at
No,
all.
no, the prospect of them winning is not even
Yeah.
close, especially considering how much quality the other squads have: France, Spain, Argentina, Portugal, not Brazil, Germany. All those nations for me are above them. I would even say they wouldn't beat Morocco or even Japan, as we previously mentioned.
Well, they didn't. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, well, they didn't. But yeah, I'm just like, for us, I'm like, I don't know what to expect against Southgate. I was like, yeah, we can do a job. Obviously, we didn't do any a good match against England after 2018. So I hope we can get a result here, at least a draw, because a draw here basically against England means you're basically through. You just need to beat Panama or Ghana, which I'm certain we will beat Panama and Ghana. I'm like 70% sure, rising by the day.
Yeah, I think this, yeah, from a qualifying from the group perspective, purely, if Croatia lose this game, it's not a massive hindrance to them because they've got Panama next, second,
Yeah,
and you know, with the greatest respect to Panama, I saw watched them in the friendly against Bosnia. They weren't
no,
particularly good. They are a very solid side, but they don't really have goals in them. And so the general standard of the CONCACAF nations in this tournament, because obviously the three biggest were taken out of qualifying at all, is much lower than it has been at previous tournaments. So they don't really concern me too much. Famous last words. Ghana, I say, do a bit, but they're a very uneven side.
yeah,
They do have some extremely high quality players, but what's alongside them is nowhere near that standard. And there'll be a bit of a dice roll as to how they play throughout this tournament, I think. But absolutely. I think if Croatia beat England, then I think England would be in trouble of not making it out of the group stage. Purely from the perspective that you might be facing Ghana on 3 points
yeah,
already. Ghana are able to get a result there, and then you know against
yeah,
Panama, it's all the pressure, and it's a very difficult job then, particularly with the amount of domestic pressure they will have on them inevitably.
yeah,
For Croatia, it's not so bad.
yeah. It's not to that level. If we do lose against England, as you said, we have Panama, who, as you said, against the, I watched the highlights against the Bosnia. They were, as you said, solid defensively, but it gets to a point. It's also Bosnia, and it's a friendly. Didn't But it's like five passes, and then they hoof it forward, and we immediately get the ball, and that's exactly how we want to play. And we're gonna get a goal, two goals minimum in that game, I think, just because they do not have any build up. The build up is five passes, and if we don't get it to the halfway line by that point, it's hoof it to Waterman.
Yeah, and sort of basically, I mean, using that Bosnia friendly, it wasn't the strongest Bosnian squad by any means that they put
No,
out, and they are a side in Bosnia who are not the not the most dangerous attacking threat, to
no,
put it kindly. So yeah, I just don't see it with Panama, unfortunately for them. I think they'll be lucky to get a point from the three games.
yeah, yeah. The same thoughts here. I cannot see them winning a single game. Ghana, I'm only scared of Semenyo and their counters. That's it, because they're gonna, they're gonna defend as deep as Panama. But the problem is they're not gonna hoof it forward to their striker. They're gonna hoof it forward so Semenyo can get the ball on the wing, or over the top, so he can pressure Livakovic into hoofing the ball, and then hopefully winning the midfield battle for the ball. But against England, as you said, like Dalic today said, actually last night in his last interview with Croatian TV before he departed for the US, he said, "I do not like to win 4-3. I want to win 1-0. It's much better. It's tournament style. We're gonna be pragmatic. You want to get results. There's no point in wanting to look fancy."
Yeah, and I think to be fair, sort of for how this tournament set up, because obviously it is a bigger tournament as we all know.
Yeah,
What's condensed really is the knockout stage period rather than the group stage period. It's
yeah,
a nice 6 days between games. There is, when you get to the Ghana game, there shouldn't be any need to rest anyone for the sake of keeping them fit, unless you're
yeah,
in a position where you qualified already. And to your earlier point around Modric's fitness, actually you can get 75 minutes out of him each game because he has that time to recover. If he's able to go
yeah,
75 minutes in the first place, it's not a concern at this World Cup until you get to the knockout stages. But then, as we've sort of seen in all the past tournaments, once you get to the knockout stages, if you haven't beaten Croatia within 90 minutes, you tend to not.
yeah. You tend to not, unless you're Spain in the Euros.
Yeah. That was the one where
But
it did go 4-3, though, to be fair.
yeah, the 5-3, 5-3.
Yeah.
We conceded two. That game, oh Jesus Christ! From elation to that extra time, which was just downhill because we didn't have a defensive player on. We had like Guardiol, and I forgot. I think Lovren was still on, but we only had like two free defenders, and everybody else was attacker minded, which Spain took advantage of. But yeah,
It was fun.
it was fun. It was. But yeah, as I said, I'm just expecting. I've said it multiple times in multiple interviews. I'm just expecting absolutely dull game as against Morocco, who nobody remembers. Not even I remember that game. I think I remember one shot by Vlasic, and that's it from that opening game of the 2022 World Cup. Same
Yeah.
thing against England.
It's it's just two teams that don't play very good football against each other.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
3-3.
Wouldn't be surprised. Harry Kane hat trick, and then who would score for us? Nobody would be scoring a hat trick for us unless somebody just pops off for no reason. But it would be like Vuskovic header from a
Vuskovic, three
corner.
headers.
No, one header, one bicycle kick, one scorpion kick, just to continue the
There we
trend.
go.
Or halfway line. He hasn't scored a halfway line goal since going into senior football, so I think it's time. But yeah, let's. Could we touch more on England?
Um, in terms of the game, I mean, I think I think it's quite a difficult one because it comes as the first game, and like I say, it's the most important game of the three for
Yeah,
the hopes throughout the tournament. But then there's also going to be that it's going to be hot, and after 60 minutes, if it's 1-1, the team's really going to want to go all out to actually win it. And it's almost as we saw in that opener to Euro 2020.
yeah,
Okay, it was 1-0, but both teams settled for that a long way out.
yeah, yeah. We basically gave up in like the 60th minute. It was
Yeah,
uh, it was the same thing the whole game. I don't even remember it being 1-0. I thought it was 2-0 for some reason, but it was just Sterling, right?
this was 5 years ago, man. I don't remember.
Well, you said 1-0, so I'm like, oh, he knows it.
I feel like it was 1-0. If it was 2-0, it certainly felt like a 1-0.
Yeah, yeah, it is 1-0. Only Sterling, yeah. I don't know why I remember the second. I probably remember our games in the Nations League. That's probably why. Same stadium, so it's kind of blended in.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah. As I said, Panama. There's actually two former high NL players in there in Panama. Let me remind. It's like let me see his name. Barcenas, who played for Split, and there's another guy who played for Lokomotiva, I think, but I forgot his name. But there's also Cesar Blackman of Slovan Bratislava, played against Dinamo last season in the Champions League, uh, who I remember. And that's other than Waterman, and I think there's a guy that plays for, yeah, Murillo, who plays for Besiktas, and that's pretty much it, who I know from. It's all of their players are mostly in Central America, or just in the Americas in general. Rarely is somebody outside of that. We have one guy in Israel, and then a few in Europe, and it's mostly their defenders are mostly in Europe, which is fascinating. Andrade,
yeah.
Blackman, Cordoba, Murillo, all in England, Slovakia, Austria, and Turkey, respectively.
I think of their players, from a pressing, from a midfield, from an energy perspective, the only one I would be overly concerned about would be Karaskia, just because he is everywhere. But again, they're gonna, as you say, they set up so low. They want to shift that ball up quickly,
Yeah,
or at least they don't have that much patience in shifting the ball up. But they should be reasonably easy to deal with. I think they are probably the fourth best side in CONCACAF, but there's a big gap between them and even Canada.
yeah, they're very very big. Uh, but this is also a team that can show up on there. They've beaten the US on on a few occasions, which isn't that big of a feat, especially considering how poor the US was in prior years. Now they've slightly improved, but we're gonna see, because their group is also, I think, very unpredictable, with Australia, Turkey, and Paraguay, which I
Yeah,
think any I can only see Turkey. I'm only confident in Turkey in that group. Everybody else is just a free for all.
yeah, and Paraguay have not been. 2010, I think, the last time they were at a World Cup.
Were they at the 2014 World
And
Cup? Or oh no, that's Chile. I'm remembering.
yeah, I think it's 2010 the last time Paraguay were there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I mean, their brand of football, it seems to be throughout with the Paraguayan side is just they're the most defensive, horrible side to play against, horrible side to watch. Yeah, I think 2010 they were probably the team that came closest to knocking Spain out.
no, yeah,
But that's 16 years ago. And if we're honest, the name, the Paraguayan player most people can name is still Chilavert. And it's been 24 years since he was last at a World Cup.
yeah,
So yeah, I'd like to see them do well coming back to it. I think everyone would like to see Turkey do well coming back after so long. It's been too long for them not to be at
yeah.
this tournament. I think everyone would like to see the USA get their asses handed to them. I think possibly what I'm sort of thinking, in terms of the combination of where the last 32 or last 16 shakes out, I think there is the potential if Bosnia get out of their group that they end up either with Mexico or the US. So I think there is potential they might just end hopes just for the hosts this tournament, which would be very fun.
That that would be, yeah, that would be very funny. Imagine Bosnia is the one to. Oh, it would also be funny if Canada just kicks out both Mexico and the US, especially the US, considering all the rivalry that's been going on there, but especially hockey in the last year since he took office. I will not name names, but yeah, it's I want to see USA Canada because I've seen highlights of the hockey games, and in basketball, even players are known to, comment a bit about
I want to
the
see
rivalry.
USA Iran.
I want to see Israel at the World Cup to replace Iran. Obviously, joking. But the seeds that were produced. But did you see that where's the referee from? Somali, a Somalian
Somalia,
referee?
yeah, has been
Yeah,
kicked out.
yeah, not allowed, and he was voted the best referee in Africa.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those where Trump has it particularly out for Somalians because of what sort of went on in
Yeah,
Minnesota earlier this year. They got quite a
yeah,
large community, but obviously for him it was to attend the pre-World Cup refereeing camp. So it is literally his World Cup over. He can't
yeah.
just turn around and be like, all right, okay, I'll just referee in Mexico or Canada. It is
No,
literally that's
that's it.
it. And I don't know how the US can justify the decision because if anyone's not going to just disappear in the middle of a tournament and try and claim asylum, it's going to be someone who's literally employed to put the
Yeah,
rules into action.
yeah, and one of the best
Yeah,
the best in his continent, voted the best referee in his continent. Uh, it's I I'm just shocked that you host the World Cup and yet you makes. Did you also see the news about the Iranian players making it really tough for them, just being questioned on hours on end?
yeah. I mean, seeing the Iranian players, the Uzbek players had sniffer
There's,
dogs.
yeah, yeah, it's
Iraqi journalists. I've not seen any headlines in terms of this happening to Croatian fans, but I have seen it obviously for Scotland fans. There's been quite a few where they were given the visas all the way back in December, and like last week, there were multiple fans who got their visas pulled, and you said you can't travel,
yeah,
and
it's
that's after you spent thousands and thousands on
it's
travel.
it's just crazy to me that you're hosting the World Cup, the biggest tournament in sports to ever exist, the most watched, and you do not allow anybody to get in the country easily, except the really famous people.
The really white people, let's be honest.
Yeah, the really white famous people,
Yeah,
the famous players. Messi, Ronaldo get in. Oh wait, what is that? An Iranian flag?
yeah. Nope. You can
Be
come in,
prepared
but
to sit down and answer like 20,000 questions.
well, I mean, it's even with the team. They have to fly in the day of the game, fly
Yeah,
straight out. One of their games is in Seattle, and they're based in Mexico. So, the US is big. I know that's quite a long flight.
yeah,
I don't even need to, check the times to know that's going to be 8 hours.
yeah,
It's an insane situation that FIFA have allowed to happen. And, I know it's sort of going about, but, there's a 2017 quote from Infantino, which is, we would expect any host nation to allow everyone in to play. And if they don't do that, then they're not suitable to be a host. Well, where are you now? What are you saying now? You're not saying anything
no,
because,
no, 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 no. He did say he gave him the peace prize.
yeah, I think the issue, and this is a general issue with FIFA, and I'm going a little rant, is that it is, I hesitate to say the word too democratic.
Uh,
because it's sort of the
Yeah,
opposite of what I mean. But
yeah, yeah.
Infantino's power base is not in the it's not in Europe. It
No.
is in, I'm going to expand the tournament. I'm going to allow smaller nations in. We're going to sell more games. We're going to make more money, and that money is going to be funneled to, you know to African nations, to Asian nations, to these
Yeah,
places where there are lots of potential votes for me that can overrule the opposition of UEFA and other federations like that. It used to be under Sepp Blatter that the dodginess happened below FIFA level. I'm not saying Sepp Blatter was honest, but
yeah,
you know, it was more a case that it was the people who he employed,
yeah,
who was in charge below him, who were the problem. FIFA now it is Infantino who is the problem.
yeah. It's him directly. It's
Yeah,
no, he doesn't even shy away from it. It's all there, and I mean, just giving him the peace prize is enough to see what kind of man he is, and just that whole job was just a spectacle to behold. It was so poorly done as well, for America standards. Who are the showman, the Hollywood. It was one of the worst. There was a better broadcast of the UEFA does the broadcast of the first Europa League draw better than that.
I think the difficulty for USA is, and I know if there's Americans watching, they will disagree with what I'm about to say, is they do not have the experience of hosting this sort of event in the past generation since
No,
1994.
yeah,
They simply don't. Even we can say maybe the '96 Olympics, but again, that's a generation ago, and the Olympics is a self-contained event within one city. This is the
yeah,
Super Bowl in 12 cities at once around the continent,
yeah, and
and that
and the
brings its
and,
difficulties.
and the number of games is the highest it's ever been. So the amount of games that are going to be played in the US is, it's basically how many games are being played? I forgot.
A lot.
A lot. I don't want to do the math.
Six times 12 plus the knockouts, so
Uh,
he's 72, 216,
you do it.
so over. It's going to be about 106, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes, I know it's above 100. So, and like what, 80 games are going to be played in America. It's only a few that are going to be played in Mexico and Canada. Well,
And they don't have experience in dealing with foreign fans either. I think
yeah,
is an
no.
important thing to say. If an American cop goes up to an American person and says stop doing what you're doing and pulls a gun, American
Yeah.
people know how to handle that. If an American cop, sorry, I say an American cop, if a member of ICE goes up to a drunk Millwall fan and pulls a gun, that Millwall fan is not going to react in the same way. They're
No,
probably
he
going to
he is
try and
he is
punch them.
he is not gonna take a step back. He's gonna take a step forward, and
Exactly.
that goes the same for a majority of football fans, especially from football crazy countries. South America,
And
same thing.
yeah, I think in a way that's almost one of the benefits of the US not being a very good tourist destination at the moment,
Yeah,
is that there's so many people of diaspora in the US that they've sold so many tickets domestically.
yeah,
I know it's the fact for Croatia. I know it's the fact
yeah.
for Bosnia.
Especially in Philadelphia. Our game in Philadelphia will be. I mean, it will just be. Dallas also has a. I mean, it's right in the middle, so people from California are going to the game. People from states around are gonna go to the game. But Philadelphia, that area around Toronto, Philadelphia, that upper what's it, Upper East uh, is populated with a lot of our diaspora. So that's
Yeah,
gonna be a good bunch of our fans, and then you also get Ghanaian and Panama also has a good amount of diaspora there, and just South Americans in general.
yeah. At the end, it's going to be Americans visiting America,
Yeah. And
which is
I mean, did you see our match against Colombia in March?
um, yes, but
Yeah,
That was three,
we
so
played.
remind me.
Yeah, yeah. We no, I'm not talking about the game specifically, although we can touch on it. But the fans, it was all yellow. It was all Colombia and a few, checkers here and there, but it was all Colombia. Orlando is absolutely, obviously, Florida is absolutely filled with South Americans. So America just in general, as you said, it's just domestically, and these foreign fans that come in are, I I'm scared for what's gonna happen. I'm scared for the headlines I'm gonna read during this World Cup.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. I think we know ICE will be deployed,
Yeah,
and we know ICE are not, they're not trained police. And there's a reason why, but there is a reason why you have police do policing, immigration people do immigration stuff,
yes,
and the
please.
military doing military stuff.
Yeah,
Because they are very different training sets, they are very different reactions to similar situations.
yeah,
And you can't, I don't have trust that there wouldn't be, a public order issue, let's say, that a football fan wouldn't get caught in the crossfire quite literally, and that's before you mentioned the not unlikely possibility that there's just public order issues in America in general because
yeah,
they don't like that guy and the war's still going on.
yeah. Uh, a lot is going on. I think I've seen Saudi Arabia declare war on Iran, but that's another topic. No, that's not for this podcast. But let's get back to the World Cup. Enough of enough of social politics. But yeah, World Cup. Who do you have winning it? Spain, I'm guessing.
Like I think I would think Spain are the main favourites. I think
Yeah,
it's three: Spain, France, Argentina. If either of them win it, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. I think those are the three favourites by a fair distance. I think behind that you have probably 10 sides: England, Germany, Croatia, Japan, Netherlands, Portugal.
England.
I think there's others. Brazil, who I didn't mention there.
Yeah,
Brazil, Ecuador, Japan. All teams who, once if they get a roll on getting into knockout stages, actually, there's the potential within them to be able to reach a final. And I appreciate, there's some surprising names in there. I mentioned Ecuador. Ecuador, they are a very difficult team to beat. They will not score
yeah,
much, but they're a difficult team to beat. They're a better Panama. But if
yeah.
you get into knockout stages, that can be all you need.
Yeah, and even in the group stages, if you draw all three games, 0 goal difference almost secures you through just because of how the groups are made, and
Yeah, I
eight
think
out of 12 go through.
Yeah, I think the Football Meets Data Instagram account, they said if you, it's over 50% chance that you qualify if you end up with 3 points and a -2 goal difference.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
So,
Then
yeah,
just one win, and you know, for us, that's literally. I don't think England can beat us. Most they can beat us is with 2 goals. Even I don't see England attacking again after. I don't see England attacking more after scoring the first, and I don't even see us attacking more after conceding, because it is the opening game. You don't want to you don't want the game to get out of hand just because you want to get a result in the first game. You want to take it slow, and then if you get a chance, you get a chance.
yeah. And I think from a positive sense, it probably means that the games that normally you wouldn't watch,
Yeah,
and talking purely as from a neutral perspective, because obviously I'm going to say something that I'm not neutral on. If if this was a purely neutral game, would you watch Scotland Haiti in a normal World Cup where only the top two get through? No, because
no, yeah,
it's probably not actually going to be worth something. But actually, in this World Cup, if Scotland go out
it's
and win
worth.
4-0,
Yeah,
then that's pretty much qualified. And I don't like the shoehorning in of the extra round. I think probably sort of the originally mooted group stage of was about 16 groups with three sides in and everyone plays each other twice would
yeah,
probably have been better. It certainly would have been better in terms of player load
yeah,
because you actually end up with the same amount of games as in 2022, but whatever. You can still get plenty exciting football from this. And I think, as we've seen at the Euros, having this third place system in hasn't made the tournament worse.
No, no, it hasn't. But I'm just hoping we can get through because so far in the Euros we haven't. With that system, we haven't done well. Obviously,
No.
last Euros and the Euros before we did okay. Nothing spectacular, as we said, knocked out by France. But it's the World Cup. We do fare nicely against African nations. We've only lost to Tunisia, which is the first game I ever covered, by the way, on my Twitter, which is gonna be 7 years old when I post this tomorrow.
Ooh.
So yeah, a third of my life, which is 7 years. A third of my life
Which
has been
is less
spent.
than a third of mine. Um,
Yeah. By the way, I was trying to go back. I think one of my first ever tweets to blow up was, I think it was Barisic that was linked with Rangers, and I think somebody added you, and you quote retweeted my tweet, and then obviously the Scottish Twitter community took it off. I think that was the first tweet. I was like, I had to shut off my notifications.
so viewers and listeners, if you don't like this, I'm apparently the guy to blame. Yay.
If you don't like the day's talk, especially the political one, which I wouldn't be surprised if some of you don't like, but oh well. Tough
That's
luck.
what the
Tough
comment
break.
section's for.
Tough break. But let's get back to Croatia. Who do you think will be the star player for us?
I mean, I think it's hard really to pick a star because however you play, in
Yeah.
terms of the media attention, in terms of who's put forward for everything, everyone's going to want to talk about Modric, and that's about it,
It-
really. I think, obviously Vuskovic can have a breakout tournament here. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I think we get still really to see him tested in that three at the back formation. Just from the perspective of it being in a competitive game and in the middle of that three, I think that's still an undecided one. But if there's going to be a chance to make your name, make it against England.
Yeah.
Otherwise, aside from that, I think, like you say, Mark Pasalic is on one at the minute. And I think really both the MLS players, in terms of Pasalic and Musa, they're in the form that can get them a very good tournament and potentially get them a very good move. I think also, if you're looking at players who will be thinking about moves as well after this tournament, Fruk as well, there's that extra incentive, to do something a little bit more, maybe just to try.
Yeah.
A couple more shots from distance in the true Rijeka way, and just get yourself that little highlight, that little headline. But at the end of the day, to most of the international media, whoever's in that side is only your rotating side piece to the main man in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody still sees it as 2018, where Luka Modric is playing, and then everybody just play around Luka. Now that's obviously not going to happen, especially because the younger core of players has stepped up. Baturina, Sucic, Vuskovic, Stanisic, Pasalic, as you said. I want to see a Pasalic banger because he hasn't had a good goal for the national team yet. He's come close. He's come very close. Especially he came close against Slovenia and against Belgium. But I really hope he can, England, Ghana, or even in the knockout game, just 30 yards out, just does what he did at Rijeka.
And I think, Bossy, you mentioned one of the names that I should have mentioned. Yeah, I think a lot of people won't know Petar Sucic.
No,
But he's
and
going to be
Baturina,
used quite a lot.
but I think most people won't know them just because most people don't give a jack's ass about the Serie A,
Yeah,
which
but I think,
I
particularly for Sucic, I think he's more of a chance to break out on this tournament, just in
yeah
terms of the role that he'll be put in. Whereas Baturina, I think, even his biggest fans would probably say he's going to be swapping in and out of positions this
yeah
time around.
yeah, and Sucic, if he plays, he's most likely gonna play 80 minutes. He's gonna be there for most of the games because one, he's fit. He hasn't had problems with injuries in quite some time now, and I expect him and I hope, because he looks fantastic. I haven't seen a real issue for him when he plays in his position, not attacking midfielder and behind the striker. But yeah, but I do hope my starting lineup for England. If I was Dalic, I would put obviously Livakovic, Stanisic, as we spoke, Vušković, Guardiol, Marko Pašalić, Modric, Petar Sucic, Perisic, and then in behind Musa, I would start Musa, just because he's a similar type to Budimir, but he's faster. Like he can win headers, and he's also great just shooting the ball on the ground and making a low dribble and then shooting off that. And he's just better footwork wise, but better technically than Budimir. But in behind them, I would have Baturina. I'm leaning towards Mario Pasalic, but it's tough to overlook Kramaric. But I would, but he's a good bench player, so I would start Kramaric.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I can't see Kramaric not starting. I mean, he's not really been used loads in the friendlies. He's sort of been, possibly he's just managing fitness or just keeping him fit for the England game.
Yeah,
But like you say, uh, he offers a goal threat, which ultimately is what you're going to need if you are playing as quite a target man style up front. In terms of who's alongside him behind, and I agree with Musa entirely. I will be starting Musa over Budimir. I
yeah,
think that's the one's a little bit up in the air. But like I say, I think possibly I would be, rather than Baturina, I'd be picking Luka Sucic just purely from the perspective of the type of runs that Luka Sucic would
does
give
yeah,
rather than Baturina. You're not necessarily going to be needing a little deft guy putting through lovely balls
yeah.
in this particular game. I think having someone who can actually just get the ball at feet, drive and see goal, shoot. I think that's possibly the more useful skill set in this particular game.
Yeah, but I we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised because of that mistake against Slovenia. I wouldn't be surprised if Dalic benches him and then starts him against Panama and Ghana, and starts maybe I don't know Pasalic, as you said, Luka Sucic or even Vlasic, who also did a nice few minutes against Slovenia. But yeah, what else can we put? So yeah, it's tough to overlook Spain, but as I said, I back Germany. I think they can have a deep run, at least the semis this in this World Cup. So I'm kind of a fan of them. I'm gonna be following obviously Bosnia and Scotland, although I do not have much hope for both. Uh,
I
it's
mean,
more so just come on, lads. I believe.
I think in terms of Bosnia, to touch on them quickly, I fancy them to get out of the group. I think against Canada, because Davis probably isn't going to be 100% for it if he's even playing at all. And they've lost a couple of other midfielders to injury in this run up to the
Yeah,
tournament. So it's not going to be, the tippy top Canada side. And Bosnia are good. There's no doubt about that. They have the talent up front. We've not seen Jacko during the friendlies at all.
no,
He's been, recovering from a couple of little bits and bobs. But in terms of having Baraktarovic and Alabegovic, they're absolutely top class wingers.
yeah,
And for the style of football that they want to play, they can certainly, I certainly feel, beat Canada. They also got Qatar in their group,
yeah,
and Qatar are at this tournament to lose 3 games again, and to lose them quite heavily again. So I think even if Bosnia lost the first 2 games, they would be able to progress from the group.
yeah,
And probably should have included in my 10 sort of second favourites. The Swiss are probably in that group with Croatia
yeah,
and England as well, purely from the perspective that they can beat anyone, and they've got a very handy group in that, because they are clearly a better side than Canada, Bosnia, and Qatar. In terms of Scotland, to indulge myself for 1 minute, I can't get over the traditional fatalism that we will go out in the groups, purely from the perspective that
you're gonna beat Haiti.
we're going to beat Haiti, for one. But you sort of look back in Scotland's glorious failures, in the extremely long book of Scotland's glorious failures, you look back to 1974. We were in the group
Yeah.
with Zaire, Brazil, and Yugoslavia. We had Zaire first, beat them 1-0, and ended up going out on goal difference because Brazil smashed Zaire and Yugoslavia smashed Zaire. Was it 9-1 that game? I think something like that.
Yeah.
And I can't help but get the feeling that, in spite of the fact that we have scored 4 goals in our both our pre-tournament friendlies, that we end up beating Haiti 1-0, and then we end up out on goal difference or some stupid third rank tiebreaker. Lyndon Dykes got one extra yellow card in the 90th minute against Brazil, so actually
Yeah.
we're out on fair play. I can't help getting over the feeling that there will be some way in which we managed to contrive to exit out from the group stage. But, we absolutely smashed Bolivia in a friendly, and I think Bolivia
Yeah.
were coming into it thinking they were going to win. If we were able to pull that sort of performance out against Haiti and beat them 3-0, then really, as you say, in terms of the maths, you'd need to then take 2 heavy defeats to not make the round of 32.
Yeah. Yeah. I
We'll
can
manage
see
it,
you.
but
Yeah, I can see you getting one draw against Morocco or Brazil. Morocco more against Brazil than Morocco.
yeah.
But yeah, I predict Morocco to win that group. I just do not rate Brazil. No, no way. But if they do, then good on them. But Neymar won't be fit, I think, which could be more good than bad. And Portugal also just hinges on Ronaldo, like just talking like possibly winning just hinges on Ronaldo just passing the ball, which he won't, or being placed on the bench, which if we turn our minds back to the Euros when Ramos played, Portugal was a different beast.
Yeah, but I think again, we sort of all know, even at his age, Ronaldo is just the ultimate competitor,
Yeah,
but he's also the ultimate competitor in the same way that you would never want to play against Ronaldo, in the way that you'd never want to play against my 10-year-old daughter in a board game, because if things start to go awry, that board's getting flipped.
yeah. It's, that was me when I was younger. I did not know how to lose. I broke like 2 controllers due to NBA 2K. Not even FIFA. NBA 2K was the one that made me the most angry. But I thankfully I've calmed down. But yeah, anything else we want to talk about before we end off?
Well, I suppose we probably better say, because we haven't. Where do we think Croatia will depart?
Yeah, I've said it like round of 16. If we faced Spain or Brazil, I'm fine getting, or even Mexico and Mexico City. That's also likely if we finish first for us.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm fine going out in the round of 16 against a big nation. I'm also fine losing to Mexico in the quarter. If I'm losing, I'm fine to losing to anybody in the quarters, unless it's like I don't know who's a nation that could make it. Canada, Bosnia. If the US makes it, and if we lose to the US in the knockouts, don't ever qualify for a World Cup again. I would rather be San Marino than losing to the US in a quarter or round of
I
16.
mean, I think you could, but in the sense that Spain lost to South Korea in 2002.
Yeah,
I think I would broadly agree with that. I think it all depends on this first game. If Croatia are able to win the group, then the path to that round of 16 is Brazil. If they're second, the path to the round of 16 is Spain. And I know which one of those two I'd want to face, and it's the same one that you would also want to face as well.
yeah,
Because I think, absolutely, if you get Croatia Brazil again, there is actually, this is a worse Brazilian side than 2022. There's no reason really why Croatia shouldn't be putting them out, or at least taking them all the way.
Yeah,
If it's the case that they're third in the group, then you sort of end up with probably Portugal in the second round. If past that, then it's probably the Swiss and then Argentina in the quarters. So I think
yeah,
I think there's a very narrow ceiling and floor for the side, which is the floor is probably the last 16. The ceiling is the quarters this tournament. I can't see them getting to the last weekend of the tournament 3 times in a row. If they do, then you need to be building a statue for
yeah. We
Dalic.
Dalic and Modric, and Modric should get 10 statues. Dalic should get five. Perisic at least two.
Yeah, just
Uh,
kick Jelicic out of the square, put Dalic there. That's sort of how this achievement
yeah,
would be.
yeah,
That definitely won't make anyone angry. But yeah, I can't see it. I think I think the most we can hope for really is just not an embarrassment. I
yeah,
think it's sort of, I know we sort of mentioned it last time, in terms of how Dzeko's written his final chapters, in for him, successes being at this World Cup, and actually this is the bonus, this is the epilogue. For Modric, if he ends up going out in Croatia ends up going out in the groups and then automatically retires at the end of that, that's a sour note.
yeah,
But sort of like you say, if he gets to the last 16 and lose to Spain, who then go on and win the tournament, no
yeah.
one's,
No, no shame.
there's no shame in that. Yeah,
Yeah. Or if you go to the quarters, like I've said, I said it in Qatar. If we make it to the quarters, I'm happy. Top eight in the world. That's, I think, where we should strive to be.
yeah.
Because we cannot strive for the top, although we have had chances, to win the World Cup, to win the Nations League, to get into another World Cup final. It's it's been a wonderful 8 years, but obviously this is, I hope not, but it's a generation. Although there's been quite a lot, there's a lot of young players now. Back in 2022, 2018 was probably the golden era. In 2016, I'll never. I'm brewing that Euros 2016 so much because we lost to Portugal in such a narrow way. I think, and we created so much and got nothing for it. That 2016 and the path to the final that year, we could have very easily been playing France in the Euro final and the World Cup final. But yeah, this time I from now on I'm just like, make it to the knockouts and then game by game, as Dal just said. We should just aim to get out of the group, and then game by game, what happens happens.
And it's worked the last 2 tournaments very well. And
Yeah,
like I say, if you get to the 90th minute and it's 1-1 in a round of 16, round of 32, quarterfinal, whatever round you're in, you're going to fancy Croatia over any other side they face, just because
yeah,
that mental factor's there, that fitness is there.
yeah,
Even if you have Modric doing 120 minutes, he's not going to stop running.
yeah,
And the record in penalty shootouts is there as well.
yeah,
From 2022, that everything sort of favours Croatia in that sense. But at the end of the day, like you sort of say, you've almost rode luck in 2018 because the draw opened up. In
yeah,
2022, the draw opened up as well. In terms of facing a worse Japan side than this one, in terms of
yeah.
facing a Brazil side that were ultimately very flawed.
Oh,
But how
so
this
seven players on our half with three
World
minutes
Cup
to
set,
go.
the draw can't open up. Yeah, but yeah, the draw can't open up this time. It's designed not to,
Yeah,
which is for the
yeah,
worse. And it makes that sort of run less likely, unfortunately.
yeah. That's also my same exact thoughts. The only way you can get a run is if other countries underperform and or get knocked out or finish third.
Yeah, and like you say, stuff like Germany going out in the groups, as we've seen before, France going out in the groups. That the third place stuff makes that much less likely.
Yeah. especially, and it's more teams. So you have Haiti, you have Curacao, you have those kind of teams playing. So that just makes it way more favorable for the bigger teams to get through. Uh, as you said, the before we changed the format, you had three teams in each group. That would have been, it would have been also easy because of the way the pots would have been, but also, a pot free team now would have been would also be a pod free team there. So you would have like you would have to face Paraguay, you would have to face Turkey, for example, as their third place. And if you're first, if you're the top seed, you have to face, let's say, us and Turkey. That's whoever in the top seed is can get knocked out. Here you play, us, Ghana, and Panama for England, example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much easier. And as you said, if you only need a win, project like prediction wise, you only need a win and minus two goal difference at the minimum. But if you're playing in our group, you're gonna have at least, I think, zero as the third place team.
Yeah, I agree that, there's not really I mean, all three of the four sides, Ghana being the exception, are
Yeah,
very tight, hard to play against footballing sides. You're
yeah,
not going to see anyone do anyone 4-0 unless something completely falls apart,
yeah,
which you will see in other groups. Yeah, this will be Group L will be one where a third place team gets out definitely.
yeah. But yeah, so I'm saying Germany to make it to at least the semis. Spain probably to win it. Like it's tough to overlook them. Brazil to get knocked out before the round of 16.
I think that's doable where that's possible, just where their round of 32
Yeah,
game will be, because it
yeah.
will be Netherlands or Japan, and I think again, those are two good
Whoever
sides.
whoever it is, I don't think they can get it through. But
They lose to
yeah,
Haiti.
they lose all group stage games. They draw to Haiti, lose to Ukraine, lose to Morocco 1-0, and Angelotti goes back to club football,
Yeah,
and Neymar retires without a World Cup. Yeah. But anyways, thank you, and we'll see what we can do. Because this episode is gonna drop tomorrow, which is Wednesday for all of you. So in a week's time, we play England, which and the World Cup starts tomorrow when this drops. So it's a fun summer ahead, and hopefully, the only thing I'm hoping for is not like Croatia to win it. I'm just hoping for a calm World Cup, which will not happen, but as calm as it can be.
I'm hoping to stay awake for most of it.
Uh,
I think that's the big hope.
the furthest I'm willing to stay up for a game is 2 a.m. Like to start at 2 a.m. After that, I think I'm like 4 a.m., 6 a.m. You're not seeing me.
Is it Australia Jordan or Austria Jordan, something like that? Is
Yeah,
say 6 a.m. kickoff your
yeah.
time, 5 a.m. here. Like that is absolutely for the sickos.
That if you watch that, congratulations.
I'll
Wake up,
probably be
wake up,
awake, but
go.
awake the other end for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wake up, go to work, watch watch Jordan play in the World Cup. But yeah, I have to go. I have another interview prepared in literally 2 minutes. So it was fun, and let's see each other in a week's time when we hopefully draw or beat England.
Yeah, well, a week and a couple of days, but yeah,
Week and 2 or 3 days,
yeah.
something like that. We'll see. Maybe the day after. We'll see.
After the game, because we wouldn't have much to talk about. We just be like, yeah,
We'll just be
we
like,
said all this last
yeah,
week.
yeah. Vuskovic had an okay game against Kane. That's it.
Yeah,
Pasalic hit the crossbar from 30 meters out. That's it.
there is one thing I meant to mention last episode and this episode, and I know we don't have time to go over it now. But do yourself a favour and go and find who Dario Serna thought should be in the squad on his transfer market
Oh my
picks.
god, don't. I posted it. I remember looking through that squad. I'm like, Dario, why?
Don't put your CV on when Dalic goes, Dario.
Dario, how are you? How are you a director of football? how was Structor continued employing you after that? Jesus Christ! Thankfully, he's not in the national team, like in the staff, because I think even Dallas would be like, what? Livaya, you know he left, right? He hates my guts. But yeah, it was fun, and see you sometime next week.
Will do.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.